Hello, I'm Auxiliaries Inspector Lieutenant Commander John Letourneau, and I'm going to kind of walk you through the MEVAC station, what we look at the MEVAC stations for ships that have them. We typically will check the MEVAC stations as part of the auxiliary seawater and fire pump checks. We do them simultaneously so we can kind of kill two birds with one stone and require less from ship's force. Just kind of go through and do them all. We'll typically have a inspector up here at the MEVAC station as well as down in the space, and a third inspector in CCS. So just kind of give you the lay of the land. So when we're doing the aux seawater pump checks and the fire pump checks, we'll have somebody here. The first thing we do is we check to make sure that our head tank is full. Okay, you don't want it over full because it could leak out of this vent cap. So we want to make sure that it's between these two lines, this red line and this black line. This one's pretty close. It's right at the black line. But we typically like to see it somewhere in here. Make sure that we got enough oil for the system, but not so much where we're going to overflow, especially if it heats up a little bit. We're going to check, make sure we're going to check for leaks, and I like to just check for leaks just by running my hand underneath. Right, we're going to check that. We're going to check our filters, make sure that our indicators are in. If that's popped out, then that means we have a dirty filter. We're going to check the filters for leaks. We typically find a lot of leaks at the filter. We find leaks at the hand pump quite often, and we find leaks under this manifold, the valve manifold. In this case, this ship is nice and dry. That's what we want. We want to have nice dry hands when we get done checking. We're going to check our indicators, make sure our indicators are working, and we're going to check the indicators as we go through the check. Make sure that something that's closed says closed, something that's open says open, and when it's in between, we have dual indication. That's good. So in this case, we got two pumps, two hand pumps, two filters, filter indicators. We're checking all that. Head tank, leaks, and indications. Not too hard. So when the operator comes in and he or she gets the hand crank, puts the hand crank on here, and we're ready to shut the valve, they'll line up the system. We'll make sure they line it up properly, and they'll start cranking. What we want to see here is on this pressure gauge, we want to make sure that the pressure is fairly low when they're pumping, and then as the valve comes to complete closing, right about the same time that they're feeling this massive bath pressure on this hand pump, we're seeing the same thing on this gauge. If we're seeing something other than that, then we suspect that there might be a problem in the system. So we want to see, that the pressure at the hand roughly indicated on the gauge to make sure that we're good there. This is how you operate the hand pump at the MEVAC station. The sailor's doing a great job. They picked the strong sailor. Usually you pick the weak guy. So here we have dual indication. That's what we're looking for on this valve. And as you can see, the pump discharge pressure is maintaining steady, just below 300 psig. And then you'll see as the valve is either open or shut.
Open indication.
We'll see the indication, and then we'll see
valve
pressure.
Open.
See how pressure jumps up? That's what we're looking for. We're looking for leaks as we go through, and we're looking for valve indication, like I said, as we go through. That's basically it for the MEVAC station, for the hydraulic part of the MEVAC station. The other part of the MEVAC station is your MCC cutout, this is for a fire pump, and this is, like I said, this is a DDG. So in this case, for this, we're going to check our push button boots, make sure that they're not ripped, make sure we don't have a sailor putting his or her thumb in an energized gear, and we're going to check our indicators. Our pump ready indication is when we have the interlock, and when we shut the suction valve, we want to see this pump ready light go out. And when we open the suction valve, we want to see it come back on. When the pump's running, likewise, we want to see the pump running light come on and go off. And also, we want to see proper operation from the MCC cutout as well as CCS and locally at the motor controller. Last but not least, we're going to check the connections. We're going to make sure everything's sound, and we're going to make sure that this is tight and there's no electrical safety hits anywhere on this system, especially this controller. We're going to check make sure you got the procedures, and we're going to check things like your locking devices. We're going to check locking devices, make sure that they're intact, and make sure that they actually work. Sometimes these are real loose, and sometimes they don't work. Sometimes you can get a couple turns on this valve, and sometimes they're just so loose that they just come apart and they don't hold themselves together. So we're going to check things like that too. So that's basically it. Other than the the last overall material condition grand look that we give. You know, for things like fasteners and for labels. Then this concludes my check at the MEVAC station. Thank you.